everybody, welcome back to the craft room. My name is Anna and this is Tales from the Craft Room. Today I'm going to share with you my results of what I'm calling Hat Week. So last week I got on the ball and I made some hats. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hats to share with you guys, and I have a 7th hat right here on the Addy. Yes. But I can't show you that one because it's not done yet. You'll have to wait on that one. But yeah, you said 6 hats total in the last week. That's about one a day. Of this, I have 1 knit hat. I have 3 that were done on the Addy. I have 1 that was crocheted, and I have 1 that was loom knit. 3, 4, yeah, 1 that was loom knit, but that loom knit hat is unique. So anyway, starting from the beginning of the first one that I did, if you remember, I made I think it's in this box here, I made a hamburger hat here a couple weeks ago. I think this one would actually fit me. Yeah, this one will fit me, so I might just keep this one for myself. I'm not sure, but if I don't, I will make myself one that is maybe a little bit larger than this because this is a little tight. This was not this week. I've had this made for a while. For at least a couple weeks anyway. But I made another hamburger hat. This one is actually for my grandson. This is a toddler size hat. Same colors, same pattern, just a few less rows here and there, and some shortened rows. So yes, this will be for my grandson once the weather cools off, cold enough that he needs to wear a hat. The next hat that I did was actually on the Addy. I used some of those little bonbons that my sister gave me, you know, like these right here. I haven't gotten this one yet. Actually, I started on this one right here. This is what's left. The only color I skipped was the white because I didn't feel like it was a color that I really wanted to put in the hat. But I did use the other colors on the top and this one right here in the order that they were in the bag. So this is what I came up with. And most of these did around 15, 16 rows, something like that. So we started off with blue, then we went on to purple, and then we went on to red. The inside of the hat next was yellow, and then we had this lime green color, and then lastly we did black. I had a few little issues with this, the main one, and I'm not sure, I think it's where I changed from the yellow to the black. I do have a little hole. I think what happened there is I did not get that tight enough when I tied on my yarn. But overall, I love this hat. I don't know, I think I like this side better right now. I was liking the other side better, but yeah, this one really stands out. And I mean, you can roll it up to make it a little bit shorter, or you could roll it the other way to make it a little bit shorter. Pretty cute. I do like this one. And I do plan on, I think anyway, unless I decide to make some more preemie hats, I do plan on using the rest of the bonbons in this fashion, taking them as they come out of the package, and only skipping over things like white, because personally I don't like the idea of white, especially for a small child, as in preschooler, because white shows dirt real easy, and once it gets dirty it tends to always look dirty. So I want to keep them colors to where they don't look so dirty. The next one I finished was my Wednesday night church project, which no, I did not finish this in church. I actually finished this out of church, but this is the Ross hat pattern for the most part. I did not do the decrease. I just went up to 9 inches and then I gathered the top and zipped it shut, kind of like you do with a loom knit hat. But this is what I have. This does fit me. It will work just fine. Here's the inside, so you can see I got a little tail here, and then yeah. So I do still have tails to take care of, which is the story with 90% of my hats. Most of them have tails. But yeah, this turned out really cute. I love the way this looks. So that is hat number 3 for last week. Hat number 4 is some more yarn that my sister gave me. This is the one that I didn't use but it came out of the same package. The label looks like this. And I did use my Google Translate to translate the label because according to Google Translate, it is written in Japanese. And it said it was almost 2 yards. It's like 1.75 yards or something like that. Or not yards, ounces. I go by ounces because it's just easier for my brain to calculate. Most hats in general take about 2 ounces for a hat. So I knew I wouldn't be able to knit or crochet the hat in order to get a full hat. So I decided to do it on the Addi. Now this is what I came up with. This is so adorable. I love the way it looks. And this is actually the front side. If you notice, the pattern up here at the top is slightly different than the rest of it. It had a knot. So they obviously added on yarn. I'm glad they did because this down here looks way better than this up here. So there's that side and here's this side. This is the second side. I don't think I had any problems with this. It is a rather thin yarn. Pretty sure this hat will fit me. Yeah, it'll fit me just fine, or it'd be great for a preschooler. You could roll it up. And I even talked about, you know, giving it to my grandson because I think it would fit him about pretty good too. So this would be hat number 4 for the week last week. Hat number 5 was also an Addi hat. I did have a little bit of problems with it because the yellow that I used was an older, I'm going to say it's probably Red Heart because that's how it feels. It is a very coarse yarn and feels real thick, even though it's not. This is just the style of acrylic yarn that, you know, it was. And the other color I used was a mauve color, which I don't have it with me, but I do still have a little bit of that mauve color left. But this is a yellow and mauve hat, and I had a lot of trouble with the yellow. I will just say a lot of trouble with the yellow. This is the first side that I did. As you can see, we had issues. Yeah, quite a few issues with the yellow. The pink, or the mauve color, whatever you want to call this, it went through pretty smooth. I don't think I had any issues at all with it. But here's one side, and then the other side is, you know, same. I did run out of the yellow, so I finished it off with a little bit of pink on the top. The yellow, I had a little issues starting out, but once I got towards the top, I was getting the hang of what the problem was, and I was able to alleviate that problem most of the time. What it is, on my Addi, if you have an Addi or a knitting machine, which this is number 1, 2, 3, 4, this is number 5 for last week. But when you're cranking along on the left-hand side of the counter, or the left-hand side, when it pulls the yarn up, I noticed that if the yarn doesn't, if it like stops or doesn't want to go because it feels like it's, you know, too tight, the yarn needs to be pushed down on the needle. And once I started doing that is when that yellow was going really smooth. Also, I'll notice on the other side of the counter that it was kind of the same way. I can't remember the exact process on the other side, but it had to do with the yarn being caught correctly and bringing the new yarn down and getting the second, or the yarn was already on there ready to flip over. So once I figured that out, the rest of the hat went pretty smooth, which wasn't a whole lot after that. But I have been using that on this other hat that I've been working on. This next hat, I will just go ahead and show you the colors. I'm pretty sure both of these are loops and threads. This is a lavender color, and this is loops and threads mint. I'm using these two colors. I will say I messed up. I had a glare on my counter. Mine is the Rolly counter. It's not the digital one. I had a glare on my counter, and I thought that I was at like 49, getting ready to roll over to 50. But once I actually looked at it, I was only on 41. So there is no rhyme, no reason to the stripes on this hat, but I am striping the hat. So I will give you that much information on this one. But anyway, the next hat that I did, this is a scrappy hat. And the idea for this hat came from when I was on vacation a few weeks back. YouTube had put a random video up for me that it thought I needed to watch. And I will put a link to this video down in the description box if you want to go check it out. It was definitely an interesting concept. Basically what they were doing was they was taking their scrap yarn and they were crocheting it with, you know, just a crochet hook, making a chain. And when you get to the end, she had a special way that she was, you know, looping it, and it was super extra bulky, but you crochet this, and I was using an eye hook for mine. I don't remember what size she used, but I decided to use an eye hook. But once you crochet it, it definitely makes it more of a bulky type yarn. I just tied mine in a knot and went on, but like I said, she was looping her yarn around each other and just doing it fancy like. But I crocheted, and I crocheted it as I went along. The thought process on this was that one that was kind of the periwinkle color, purplish, bluish, and dark green hat that was a mom hat that I was trying to rework. I was having a lot of trouble with that hat because I just did not like the coloring the mom had chose. So I started with those two colors, and I would crochet for a while and on my chain and just get tired of it. So I would snip it and add in the green, the dark green that mom was using, and I go for a bit, and I just kept going back and forth and back and forth. Well, I had to use more yarn, obviously, because that was not near enough. All that periwinkle and dark green made was for the brim of the hat, because I did it as a loom knit hat. And when you roll the brim or flip the brim, that was like a total of 4 inches, because I think I got about a 2-inch brim. That's about all that hat made with the yarn that mom had chose when I did the crochet a chain to make it a bulky weight yarn. I did use a big peg loom, which you either use 2 strands of worsted weight or you use bulky yarn on that, if you're not familiar with the big peg looms. And I used the orange one. It's not the biggest one, it's the next size down. It fits over my head, and had I not, I realized a little bit farther in the hat that I was just pulling the yarn way too tight, because it's been a while since I've done a loom knit hat with the big peg loom. So I loosened up my stitches, and it did get quite a bit better, but the brim is a little bit tight. I can wear it on my head, but it's really tight on my ears, so it will probably be about perfect for a preschooler. But this is what I have. Definitely unique. I think this is the most colorful hat that I have ever made. Like I said, just this part here, and then the inside of the brim here is all from that yarn that was in the mom hat that I repurposed because it was too small. So as you can see, I've got some little bit lighter green after the dark green. I've got some of that, was it Day Glow? Had almost enough to go all the way around. I just missed it by a little bit here. Then I went back to the green. This is some that Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek or whatever. It's kind of like the Caron Simply Soft stuff. I had a scrap ball of that, and then I went back to the dark green, and I had some blue down where I was working at, so I grabbed a ball of that and I put some blue in there, and then the black is that Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek, kind of like the Caron Simply Soft again. And then I had some of this. This is the same color that is in the last hat that I showed you. I had it with me. I grabbed it because it is a much smaller ball now, so it's considered a scrap in my opinion, because it is not enough to make a hat out of. Anything that is less than 2 ounces, in my opinion, is a scrap ball, because it's not big enough for a hat. But I went to that, and then I added some more of this lighter green, and then I had some dark blue, and I added some red, and I called it good. This hat is the correct length. It is the correct size, but like I said, on my head, it is a little bit tight. I do have some strings that I need to snip, but for the most part, like I said, I just tied them and just loom knitted around. So yeah, that is the last of my hats for Hat Week. Oh, and one more thing at the top, I did not crochet to draw it all together. I just pulled the yarn tight like you do when you're binding off for a chain, and then I left enough of a tail that I could gather the top of the hat and sew it closed. So yeah, that's what I did, and I've already woven that in. There is no tails at the top of the red, so I'm pretty proud of myself. For the most part, this one's pretty much done. But anyway, this is the last hat for my Hat Week. I'm kind of impressed with what I got, and yeah, I enjoyed making all of those hats. Another thing that I did was I told Steve that I needed a big box, because I wanted to separate out hats and get the box or get bag or whatever ready to take to the lady at my church that is helping out at the preschool with the hats. So he gave me a box, and I took all of the mom hats that she has given me that are big enough and put them in a box, and there is 94 hats. I am impressed. I just need a few more hats, and I'm sure next time Sister goes to visit her, she will get some more hats, and I will be able to add enough hats in that to finish off the 100 hats for preschool. So this year they will get 100 hats from Grandma Pat, as I put it, because my mom has made all of them. That will be going in that bag. Then I counted out the ones that I had done for myself, and I believe I have 64 hats that I have made myself this year, not including the 5 that you just seen. It's 60 something, 64, 67, somewhere in there. So yeah, I've made quite a few hats on my own. I'm impressed. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you today. My week of hats that I've been working on and getting things sorted out and ready to go to preschool. I figure as long as Mom is making hats, you know, she can make them as long as she wants. I will keep making hats because I do like making hats. I like trying to make other things too, and I will just keep going on hats, but I don't have that pressure that I've had the last couple years of feeling like I need to have 100 hats by a certain amount of time, because I don't. I have my free time to work on them as I choose and build up my stash for future donations. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.